speech actually given in Atlanta. You see how all history is a current event. Called Look For Me in the Whirlwind. But you know, Marcus Garvey was a real Pan-Africanist and a real proponent of repatriation. And as history records, one of the places that was focused on was the country of Liberia. In the studio with us, we have a brother, we have some family, but we have one person that's going to be speaking with a little bit this afternoon in the studio with us that is working to bring a renewed attention to the country of Liberia. Right? You know, we tend to be some people that kind of event driven, and our attention goes in waves and waves, whatever is going on these days on the social media or on the corporate media. Gets our attention for 2 weeks and then we're going back to sleep. Some of us. So that again, that's why WRFG is here, to keep the fire blazing non-stop, and keep our ears to the ground and keep the rhythm flowing, making the hood head bob. You know what I mean? Greetings to everyone again. In the studio with us, our brother Dazia fumbah of Liberia and our seeds tomorrow, the next generation. Welcome to the studio, brother. How are you doing?
Thanks for having me.
Great to have you. Great to have you. Glad you could be here. Now, there was a celebration that went on this weekend that I was scheduled to be a part of. You know, wasn't able to make it, but what intrigued me about it was the energy. It seemed like a collective energy, a whole lot of people bringing their resources together for one cause, and that's always exciting. So tell us about what went on this weekend before we go any further.
This weekend we have the international designer came to Atlanta, joined hands with the Our Seed Tomorrow project to build schools in Liberia for the children of Liberia. We have 14-year civil war in the country that in turn to damage the infrastructure in school buildings all over the country. And a couple of years ago, 15, 20 years I've been working on this project, which hands from my grandparents who were also active in the school building projects back in the early 1900s, all the way through the late 1980s.
Right.
So we decided to put the Our Seed Tomorrow project as planting a seed for harvest, for a better foundation for tomorrow, a better leader for tomorrow, a better future for tomorrow. And the greatest wealth that we can give our children of Liberia is investing in the education's foundation, or to allow them to cultivate all of the greatest attributes that they have within themselves for a better tomorrow.
Right, that's what's up. Let's backtrack a little bit, or go forward, we should say, Sankofa style,
Yes.
and talk about the history of Liberia. Enlighten us on when this country, you know, the history of it, when this country came about, and what has led us to now.
Liberia as a country has always been in existence through its endangered people. And if you can recall, the history of Liberia was once called the Grain Coast. And the history books may have written in 1847 when the slave repatriation, when slaves were taken back to Liberia. Our brothers and sisters was brought back home. I don't like to use the word slaves. Was brought back home on two ships. One was the Elizabeth and another one was the Armstrong. They came back home and settled.
The names of them. Yeah.
Well,
Elizabeth and Armstrong.
Yes, that's right.
Just like Jesus and grace of God and everything took us away.
Yeah, that's right. So it was Elizabeth Armstrong took the slave through the American Colonization Society, that organization that decided to come together, and slaves that wanted to go home and to be independent and reconnect back with their spiritual ancestors and their homeland. So Liberia came about and was named after, the city was named after one of the former presidents of the United States called James Monroe. And as we know today, it's called Monrovia. Liberia, as a country, independence was 1847. And the similarity that you may also see is that the Liberian flag also is designed in much similarity, identification to the United States flag. Our constitutional law and order of our order in the country is directly a blueprint of the United States. But the difference with our flag is that we have one star in comparison with what, 52 or 51 stars, if I'm correct.
That's interesting. That's interesting how that energy works. That it's a direct, you say the Constitution, and we know that in word, in many ways that the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence and all these things are beautiful documents in word, you know, but we know how the history has gone, especially as it relates to African people in this country with those things. There's been quite a contradiction at best. And I don't want y'all think of anybody poking their religion, you know. We're talking about Jesus took us away. The SS Jesus of Lubeck, the grace of God and the Virgin Mary was three of the first ships that brought our people, those that were snatched away from West Africa captive to this so-called New World. That's the story. This story, our story, history, however you want to put it. So moving up now, brother, to today. You mentioned something that a lot of people still are not aware of. You know, as much as media, the internet has connected us all as one little small village in the world. You talked about the 14-year-old Civil War. Give us some more information about that.
There was a 14-year civil war that happened in Liberia that started from 1989 that brought major destruction to our country. In anything that we do, ignorance is not being informed. We went through that stage as Liberian, and we are heading within a new stage now to build our country. A lot of people who have traveled internationally have actually realized that we have a very beautiful country, a very wealthy country that has a lot of resources. And all of our goal is tuning in towards Liberia. This 14-year civil war, I do consider that as the awakening of the entrepreneurial spirit of the Liberian people. Is one of the main drive as the LC tomorrow is to build something much more sustainable that will have a legacy to last beyond the 21st century. This our see tomorrow, like I said from the beginning, work going to Liberia is to actually build schools, and the schools are foundation for our children. As you can see, most parents are educated. Children always follow the footsteps of their parents, and if we continue to educate the children of Liberia, Liberia will become self-sufficient. Liberia will become a bread basket that can feed herself. And when you can feed yourself self-fed, as you know, then you do hold a lot of key ingredient into your independence.
Absolutely. So those are some very honorable goals that we move forward. So you mentioned the website, or you didn't mention the website, but the organization is Our Seeds Tomorrow. What's the website for that?
The website is www.ourseeds, and then tomorrow.org.
Okay. ourseedstomorrow.org. We're going to take a very short break. In the studio with us for a few more moments is Dr. Dazia Fumbah out of Liberia, and giving us a little up-to-date, or update I should say, on what's going on in Liberia, and also some ways that we could help. We'd like to get some more information about that because, you know, as you know, brother, a lot of times we start initiatives, and people, especially on the continent, on the motherland, people come from outside and they always have some kind of ulterior motive when they come. Like John Bintabri said, aid travels with a bomb, you know what I mean? So people come and try to bring a hand out, but they all have something in their left hand. It's poisonous.
Yes.
So what's very important to us is that you're a Liberian that is doing this work. You know? There's a movie, there's a video I watched a few times called Pray the Devil Back to Hell. You remember that video?
Yes, I recall that.
Yes. Yeah, serious thing. I want to talk about that when we come back and how that shapes into, you know, again, the situation that now we find ourselves in, having to rebuild the country. Is the country now in a state of peace?
The country right now, we have very democracy. We have an elected president, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, in Liberia, and we have a lot of non-profit doing a lot of work in Liberia. But as a native Liberian, as an indigenous Liberian, I find it as my responsibility. I got disabled in 2008, and the next step in journey into my life of perpetuation is to go and help build a foundation and to empower my brothers and sisters in Liberia. It's why we are doing the Our See Tomorrow foundation.
So tell me something before we go to this break here. What was the name of the people before you know, like you said, you know, Liberia has always been there to the indigenous people. What do indigenous people call themselves?
There were a lot of tribes in Liberia. There were tribal people. There was the Mende, there was the Mandingo, there was the Gola, there was the Crown, there was the Gil, there was the Kisi, there was the va, there was the pellet, and we can name on here as we the belly. We can continue to name, but very powerful tradition and spiritual people that ruled the entire country. So yes, so when people always think of Liberia and think that slave founded Liberia, no, it's not true. There were people already in existing in Liberia.
That's it. Let's get it straight. 404-523-8989 again. 404-523-8989 is the African link up. In a few moments, we're going to be talking with our sister Queen Thais, bringing forth that beautiful something every single year, that Children's African Ball. Yes, indeed.